Hello, and welcome back to VEDS. It is another Forum Thursday, which means it's time for me to look back at the week in VEDS and just chat about it. And before I do anything else, I want to thank everyone because the response to my videos has been great. I mean, it's y'all. Y'all are always great, but I really thought that the car insurance mascot video would just kind of drop and then we'd move on, like we probably should. But I got a good response from it. Everyone seemed to enjoy it, which was very gratifying and completely unexpected. And of course, the response to the Shang-Chi video has been really cool too to watch. I suspected that that would get slightly more views because it is kind of on a relevant topic, but the fact that it's gotten like 200 views in like 3 days it's not a big thing, you know, for most people, but for a small channel like me, it's cool. But what's also just even cooler is that no matter the video, no matter the topic, I know that y'all are gonna watch it, and if y'all have interesting thoughts, you're gonna share them, and I think that's really cool. And speaking of sharing thoughts, let's hope these are interesting. I want to dive into some of the specific videos that my fellow VEDSies put out this week. There were a lot, and I don't have a ton of time to make this video. So when I say that I'm cutting a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about, trust me, I am. But I kind of narrowed it down to 2 videos that I think I can get the most juice out of. Juice was a bad word to use there, I apologize. The first one was Graham's video on pandemic habits, and I really like this kind of, it's not like a super dramatic way of looking at how the pandemic has changed your life, it's just looking at kind of the small things. And one of those for me is that I now really value personal space more than I did, or at least more than I think I did, because whenever I'm talking to someone, I usually end up taking a step back, which is something I never did before. And it's not something that I do because like I'm uncomfortable or because I feel like I need to do it. It's just something that I've kind of gotten used to having, if not 6 feet in between me and someone else, then a fair amount. And I think I talked about this last year. If the pandemic had never happened, I would have never started my online D&D game, the one that I DM that has Tessa and a bunch of friends from back when I was in school. I have set aside Sunday nights to play those games, and that's like sacred time for me. I do not infringe on that. And part of that is because to have a game you need a DM, and like a player can go missing for a week and that'd be fine. But if the DM goes, then you just don't have a game. So I try to avoid as many weeks off as possible. But the other reason that I treat that as kind of special is because it's a time that I can socialize with a group of people who I wouldn't usually be socializing with because none of us live in the same state, or at least I don't live in the same state as those. Overcomplicating it. I wouldn't normally see them. And it's a group of friends who are all kind of in various different circles, and some of them didn't know each other, and the ones who did at least probably didn't know each other that well. But it's getting to hang out with people who not only would I not normally get to hang out with them as individuals, but they wouldn't get to hang out with each other. And I think that's cool, and that's something I want to be a part of. And the third and final thing is that I go to see a lot of movies, and I had the longest stretch of me not being in a theater for a long time between Portrait of a Lady on Fire, seeing that in like early March last year, and seeing Unhinged whenever that came out last year. I just didn't see movies in theaters, and it was weird. And then shortly after Unhinged, theaters closed down again, and I didn't see a movie till like January of this year. And even still, when I go to movies now, it's different because one, I have this thing in the back of my mind being like, okay, make sure you're 6 feet apart, make sure you're wearing your mask. Okay, cool. I'm kind of hoping there's no one in the theater. But also, I haven't had that theater back experience where I'm back in a crowded theater and everyone is just experiencing the same thing you are, kind of the communal thing. I almost had that with a documentary called Summer of Soul, but the theater just wasn't too crowded for that one. And I don't think I'll have that for a while, which is fine, because that's the smallest possible thing to give up. But it's an experience that I look forward to having greatly. Then to Jeffrey's video yesterday. Jeffrey's video yesterday was great, by the way, y'all. If y'all haven't watched it, he took kind of Tessa's video and spun that off in a really cool direction, talking about songs that are associated to a different type of media. And there are a lot here, right? Like Hooked on a Feeling is the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. If it had never shown up in the movie, I would still associate it with Guardians of the Galaxy because of the trailer. Also, in Royal Tenenbaums, they play the Charlie Brown Christmas music at one point, and I really like the effect that has in the scene. But I know other people who like that just takes them out because they associate that so much with Charlie Brown that they can't associate it with something else. And then of course you have meme music, which Jeffrey got into a little bit, but there are some songs that especially younger people who, you know, have grown up within meme culture, like probably don't remember a time before the internet. There are some songs they'll only ever know because they're memes. Like how Jeffrey was talking about how Sound of Silence got turned into a meme. But probably my biggest story with songs that are associated with media is there's this movie called A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Great movie, Iranian vampire movie. And there's a scene in it where the titular girl, who is the vampire, takes the main character to her apartment after a party, right? And they put on this record by White Lies, and the song Death starts playing. And I love the song Death. I should have put it in my serotonin video yesterday. And it's this turning point in the movie because you're thinking, kind of the movie has trained you to think that she is now going to attack the main character because she's a vampire. But the kind of tension there turns into romantic tension. As you see, she kind of has other intentions for this scene. And so I associate the song Death and kind of all of White Lies catalog with that scene because it's my favorite use of music in a movie ever. Fast forward a couple years from the first time I watched it to I was taking a feminist horror class, and I saw in the syllabus that we were going to be watching A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. And so I was talking up this scene and playing this song for my friends leading up to when we watched that in class. And specifically one friend, Quinn, whenever we hung out, he would play that song. So we watched the movie in class. It's great. Stone cold classic. A couple weeks later, we watched Jennifer's Body. There is a prom scene in Jennifer's Body. And what song should play in that but Death by the White Lies? And me and Quinn both sit up simultaneously, eyes widen, and look over at each other across the classroom while this movie is playing. And like we have this moment of, whoa. And so now when I hear White Lies, I think of not only A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, but I also think of Jennifer's Body and of Quinn because of all the connecting points between those three things. And with that, I think I'm gonna have to leave it here today because I really do have to rush to get this video out, and I will see y'all tomorrow.